Hi, I'm Marla Niederer from OrsinisAngels, and I just wanted to share with you today a little bit about what I've been up to and some of my recent inspiration. So I started out reading this novel. It's called I Always Loved You, and it's historical fiction by Robin Oliveira. And it talks about the relationships between Degas and Mary Cassatt and Monet and Bertha Morisset and a lot of the other Impressionist artists that painted in Paris. And I really enjoyed it so much that I noticed on Ivy Newport's website she had a class called, I think it's called Ballerinas, and it shares some of the techniques. It's kind of a study on the work of Degas and his pastel work. So I decided to use my new Coptic stitch notebook that I created myself. And I did take a class on how to do this on another website by Allie Manning. And anyway, so I put together this book. It was a little different than was presented in the class, and I used a vintage book on drawing, and I also used some vintage sketchbook paper and put it together. And then after reading that book, I decided to use my new sketchbook as part of my process through the class on Ivy's website. So what I started out with is this sketch, and she presented like a warm-up lesson, and instead of using what was in the class, I decided to pick a photograph on Unsplash and use that as my inspiration, and this I just did in graphite. And as I was looking through the videos in the class, I noticed that in the museum, the gallery, the National Gallery of Canada, which is the art museum in Ottawa, they have a collection of pastels and drawings by Degas, and they have a collection of impressionistic art. And I found this on their website. It's the Dancers at the Bar by Degas, and I did a sketch of it just to kind of warm up, study some of Degas' line work. He was very well known for his line work, for the motion, for his mastery of colors. And so I did this other one also, which was Dancers by Degas, that I did a sketch of. And as I was diving deep into the Impressionists, I decided to look at some of the work of Bertha Morisset. And I found that in that collection, in the National Gallery of Canada, they have a sketch by Bertha Morisset of Julie Monet. So this doesn't look exactly like it, but I used her sketch as a reference for mine. And I'm studying values, and that's something that I feel like I need to work on. So I'm finding that this whole exploration is helping me gather more skills and inspiration. Now, I didn't even realize this. I wasn't thinking about taking this class when I put this book together, but there's a sketch from the book by Edgar Degas. So anyway, I decided to take a little road trip and to visit the National Gallery of Canada, because I know they have several works from the Impressionist artists. And I found a painting called Haymaking by Camille Pissarro. So one of the things that Ivy shared in her class, and I think it's the dancers, but what she shared was how to look at the relationships between figures in order to draw them in proportion to each other. So I used that technique to sketch in front of the painting Haymaking by Pissarro. And I found that by just looking at the painting and trying to reproduce aspects of it, you see so much more than if you were just browsing through the gallery. And really, I found like this is helping me with proportion and looking at negative space and just developing my skills further. So while I was there, I found another painting by Camille Pissarro, and this one is absolutely exquisite. I fell totally in love with it. The colors are amazing, and since when you're sketching in the museum, you really can only use a pencil, I just looked at it and tried to put in the different values and focused on the values. But while I was doing it, I just kept seeing more and more in the painting and appreciating more and more of the detail and the work that he did. And it's absolutely stunning painting. So then I kept going through the museum, and one of the things that I found was a statue, and it was a wooden statue, and it was it's called Virgin and Child. It's from the late 15th century from France, and I was getting tired at that time because I spent quite a bit of time sketching the other two sketches from Pissarro, and I was just so taken by the expression on her face and her pose, but I was a little tired, so I didn't finish the whole thing, but I kind of used it as a practice session for my sketching and just really enjoyed the experience. I was so inspired by all the beautiful art that they have there. And then I came home and I worked a little bit more on the class presented by Ivy. And instead of, at one point in the class, she was having you use some of Degas' work as a reference. And instead of doing that, what I decided to do was use a photograph from Unsplash, and where, the photographs are shared for you to freely use. So I'm not taking anyone's art without permission. And I tried to do the sketch in the style of Degas. And what I did is I used, started out with graphite pencil, and then I used some charcoal pencils, and I had some in different colors, and just really enjoyed that process and just feel like I'm learning so much from this. And I think you can learn a lot from examining other art and other artists. And so the other thing that I did was I found that Mary Cassatt has a lot of, she was an Impressionist artist at that time of Degas. And I found a painting of hers. And what I did is I used it as a reference for this study. If you haven't seen before, I've been trying to put together a collection of studies of flesh tones. And the way that I'm doing that is I'm kind of putting together these paper dolls, which I will keep in this journal, and just kind of keep a record of the different colors I use. And so these are two that I did basically on my own, and just kind of used colors that I normally would play with, and trying to figure out different flesh tones, and I'll continue doing that. But by being inspired by Mary Cassatt's painting, I chose some colors and the use of them in a way that I traditionally would not do. And the more I looked at her painting, now her painting was in oils and this is watercolors, but I kind of wanted to use that as a reference. So it doesn't look just like the painting, but I'm learning how the colors were used, and how you can use a different color palette to express the light. One of the biggest things that the Impressionists were able to capture was the light, and how, the vibrancy of their paintings and the motion involved. And so I really enjoyed this study, and I'm going to continue to do some more work with that, and just explore. And I think it's really a helpful thing to do. It's very inspiring. And then you can bring back, it's not to copy someone else's style, but it's to learn techniques, to learn different uses of color, how, and one of the things that I'm working on is value. So this helps me with that, and to kind of create more of a three-dimensional form instead of a flat form in my painting. So I'm a little excited about that, and I'm going to keep playing with that, and I'll share with you how things go from time to time. But I just thought I wanted to share that with you today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you're enjoying a very creative day, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye.